Let's talk food and wine in Tonia's kitchen. Here is Tonia King.
It is a pleasure today to chat with five-time James Beard Award-winning author, New York Times bestselling writer, and beloved baking authority, Dorie Greenspan. How are you today, Dorie?
I'm so happy to be talking to you. Thank you.
And today we're talking about your new book, Dorie's Anytime Cakes. Cakes, one of my favorite. Simplicity, just delicious, something to always have on the counter. Tell me why you decided to do a book on cakes this time.
Well, actually, for all for every adjective that you just used, I wasn't planning on a cake book, but I made three cakes for the New York Times a few years ago for their holiday issue. And they had said they wanted holiday cakes. And I said, I'm not your girl. I'm not, I think of holidays as being so festive. Festive equals frosting. And while I like frosting, I really love simple cakes. And I said, I could do cakes that don't necessarily have to be the centerpiece of the holiday table,
Right.
but could, just as you said, sit on the counter. That they could be the kinds of cakes that when you have, guests over the weekend or you're just there. You just
Oh,
slice
yeah.
off a piece, right? You
Yeah.
love. And as I started to think about this, I realized these are my cakes. This is really what I love. I love simple. I love where the ingredients are really there. You taste them. The look is just the shape of the pan. I have frosted cakes in the book. I even have a couple of layer cakes, but these are really make them, enjoy them, share them, bring them to friends, have a picnic, send them as gifts, those kinds of cakes.
Your style is so whimsical. And the fun part for me, I mean, I've been a baker for many years, but the fun thing for me was reading your book in the beginning. You talk about you can be a baker, a seasoned baker, or you can be a beginner, but you talk about how important the ingredients are and how
Mm.
important it is to just follow your lead, and it will make it all so much easier. And you talk about things like how important it is to have a scale. Some people just don't think that way, and some people get intimidated by trying to make a cake if they're a new baker. So you really kind of bring it together in such a simple way, and I really enjoyed reading the whole beginning part of the book, even before I got
Oh,
to the recipes.
yay, yay, and thank you. You certainly can make all of these recipes without a scale, but I think a scale can intimidate people because it seems so professional. But the fact is, if you have a scale, it makes the prep for baking anything so much easier. I'm a big fan of scales, but what I'm really a fan of, I sometimes say I'm an evangelist for home baking, for people to just be able to go into the kitchen and make something that they will love and that they will love to share. And the majority, maybe one day I'll do a count, but I'm safe in saying the majority of the cakes can be made without a mixer. So you're really working by hand, the same way that the cakes are anytime cakes. And I meant that you can enjoy them anytime. I feel like you could bake them anytime.
I love that you emphasize the joy of baking by hand because there's so many gadgets out there now. We seem to forget about that.
Yes. Now I love gadgets.
I
And
do
I'm
too.
and I'm married to a man who has never seen a piece of kitchen gear that he doesn't want to buy. Not that he cooks or bakes, but he just loves the equipment. So I have a super, super well-equipped kitchen. But I love doing things by hand. I love watching the ingredients. You can't see me, but I'm actually pretending that I'm mixing something in a bowl right now. My hands are moving. I love the way ingredients come together. I love the chance to smell them. I love to see how a batter changes from thin to thick. It's
It's
baking.
magical.
Yeah, thank you. You just summed it all up. It's magical. It's magical, and in the end, you get cake.
Yes, I like that feel for baking bread, for example. I love making
Yes.
bread by hand. There's nothing better than just working that dough.
The other day, I was reading something and it said that there are great pleasures and meditative moments to be found in ironing.
Oh gosh.
Right? Now, I don't iron. Michael irons, and he loves it. His mother loved ironing. She would whistle while she ironed. And as I read it, I thought, I feel that same way about baking, that it's something you do. I mean, for all the years that I've told people I want them to bake, I've never once been able to like make cakes or cookies or pies, a major food group. We don't have to bake. We bake because we want to share something with other people. But I feel that the process of baking is so, it's not hard, but once you start working on it, you concentrate and everything else fades away. And so you have that moment that's really yours. I find it very, I find it very creative to follow instructions and make something. And the process is for me as much fun as actually getting to eat the cake at the end.
There's no doubt about that. And there's nothing better than like just seeing a cake on the counter when you have folks coming in as guests for an afternoon or something. And it's like, hey, let's have a piece of cake.
Well, and it also means that you're always ready for friends. So
Yes.
my mother didn't bake, but she was a great shopper at bakeries. So we always had a cake on the counter. And when my mother was not working, I don't remember a time when I walked into the kitchen and there wasn't someone chatting with her. And there was cake. And it was so welcoming. You walk through the door, and my mother was ready to have you sit down and nibble on something delicious.
So you didn't grow up baking cakes.
Oh no. Oh no. Um, no, my mother did not bake. My grandmother baked, but sadly, she was gone before I was interested in baking. But my mother loved good food and she loved having cake in the house. I learned to bake and I learned to cook when I got married, not before.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
well, I got married very young, but still, I was a late starter. I learned on the job.
Can we talk about some of the recipes in the
Oh,
book?
please.
Where do you want to start?
Oh, I would start at the beginning and go to the end, but we don't have time for that.
Right. So let's talk about some of your favorites or some simple cakes that folks can try.
Well, so one of my favorite cake is the visiting cake. It's a cake that I made many years ago, and I kept making it because it was so easy. The recipe was given to me by a woman who said her mother made it when she saw people coming up the road. She would start making the cake and it would be ready for them when they arrived. It's not really that fast, but it's close. And so it's once again a cake you make by hand. And I added, because one of the things I did in the book was go back and look at my favorite cakes that I've been making for years and kind of give them a little zhuzh. And so for this cake, which was a very, very plain cake that just had a dusting of almonds on top of it, I added raisins soaked in rum and some apple slices with the almonds on top. So it's called the rum raisin visiting cake. And I tell the story of how I got it. And it's the kind of cake that you make it once and it will become your cake. It's a perfect counter cake.
So is it basically your basic ingredients with
Yep,
the rum
yep.
raisins in there?
Yep. Butter,
Ah,
flour, sugar, eggs, mix them up, and I added the raisins for fun and the apple slices on top. But I also, I mean, you can make it just the way the original was done without fruit, and it truly is 10 minutes of prep in the oven, give your friends a hug and serve them cake.
that sounds very
I love
delicious.
this cake. I love this cake. Um, in the same kind of in the same family. is the yogurt cake, a cake I learned. So I live part-time in Paris, and I have for over 25 years. Early on, a friend of mine told me about the yogurt cake. And I didn't know that that's like the national cake of France. I
Oh
mean,
my goodness.
it's not real. I mean, nobody has pinned a flag on it, but it's the French, for the most part, don't bake the way we do. They're not avid amateur bakers in general. But I think everyone I've ever met knows how to make the yogurt cake. Again, a very simple cake, basic ingredients. You mix it by hand. And because I've been making this cake for so long, I wanted to do something a little fun with it. And so I added some berries and I gave it a glaze. And throughout the book, you find these little, I call them treasures, and they're recipes like the berry yogurt cake and like the rum raisin visiting cake that I've played with over the years. And so you find them with a little heart. It's so sweet. And it says a treasured favorite.
Mm.
And they're scattered throughout the book. You asked where to begin. It might be fun to begin with a treasured favorite.
Absolutely. The other thing that's fun about this book is your stories.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that is one of the fun things about the book is your stories.
I feel so lucky to have an editor who gives me the space to tell stories. But
Yeah.
I feel maybe you probably feel this way too, that when a recipe is placed in a context, when you know a story about it or the history of it, or you know something special about one of the ingredients, it makes the recipe stick in your heart in a different way, I think.
It just brings a lot of things together for that one particular recipe. And speaking of recipes, as we continue, there are so many fun recipes in here. I definitely would like to share more with our listeners.
Oh, I would love to. Okay, but there is a cake that's kind of magical. It's called the caffeine corn cake.
Oh,
And it's a cake that I saw in a coffee shop in Paris, and it's Brazilian. And the owner of the shop gave me the recipe, and I had just never made anything like this. You put all the ingredients in a blender.
oh, in a blender.
In a
Wow.
blender, yeah. So you just press a button and right, and then you get a batter and then you bake it. But it doesn't look like any cake batter I'd ever seen. And I kept saying, it's not going to come out, not going to come out. And it's fabulous.
And what are the ingredients in there?
So the ingredients are, I used, and the baker did as well, a can of corn,
Okay.
a can of sweetened condensed milk, oil, eggs, vanilla, salt, nutmeg, which is really nice, some cornmeal, and some shredded coconut.
Oh, how different.
Right? Where's the flour?
Yeah.
There is no flour. It truly looks unpromising. And it is so good. So like I feel like every time someone gives me a recipe, I feel so lucky, and it really is the best gift that someone can give you. And I have a recipe that was given to me by I didn't expect to get a recipe. My husband and I were staying in a little inn in Brittany, in the west of France. And as we were leaving the inn, the owner had a cake. And I said, "Oh, it's so beautiful. May I have a piece?" She said, "No." She said, "It's not." No, she said, "It's not ready for you. It has to cool." And it was a pistachio cake, and it had raspberries in it. And when we came back at the end of the day, she said, "Now you may have a piece." And she gave me not just a piece of cake, but the recipe, which makes it so much more special that it was a gift. And so throughout the book, there are these gifted recipes.
Did you put your own spin on that pistachio cake afterwards?
Well, I wasn't going to, but yeah, I did.
So tell
Yeah.
me, I want to know how to make that. That sounds really
Oh,
interesting.
so it's really, once again, it's an easy cake. It does use pistachio flour, which I make by putting pistachios in, in a blender or food processor.
Yeah.
So the cake, when I had it in Pont-Aven, was a plain round cake. But I did zhuzh it up a bit. Yeah, you're right. So I put I put some raspberry, I cut it in half. I cut the layer in half. I put some raspberry jam in the center, optional but nice. And then I just melted some white chocolate with a little bit of oil and made that a glaze over the cake.
Ooh. And
Yes,
is it moist? Is it a moist cake?
it's a very moist. It's so delicious. The pistachios are, well, the color is, I mean, as well as the flavor. So I added just a little speck of matcha for the color. It's just, it's a beautiful cake. And once again, it's made by hand.
How simple. That's the whole
Yes,
key, right? Simplicity.
I really wanted. So when I was first working on the book, um, the reading title, the little subtitle, was going to be Simple, Simpler, Simplest. I really wanted a book of recipes that people could just pull down off the shelf and say, today I'm going to make this, and have the ingredients and have the pans and just bake away. So the
Ooh.
cover recipe is a bundt cake with this really pretty pink glaze, and it's called the Holiday Bundt. So it's a traditional bundt cake, but I added it, so butter and eggs, and this one has yogurt. I love using yogurt in
Yeah.
cakes because it both makes a tender crumb and just gives the slightest little bit of tang. So the cake is spiced. It has cardamom, coriander, ginger, and it has orange or tangerine or clementine zest.
Oh.
And it has fresh cranberries in it or
Oh dear,
frozen.
does that sound delicious?
Right, so it has holiday spice. It has that pop of cranberry tang, and then it's glazed with a sugar glaze that's tinted with either cranberry juice or pomegranate juice so that you get a very beautiful pink glaze. It looks, because it's made in a bundt, I mean, everything made in a bundt is beautiful. It looks like you fussed over it for the holidays, but in fact, all you did was mix a batter, pour it into the pan, and glaze it. It's a great cake. It was actually, this was the inspiration for the whole book.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
You give a lot of great baking tips in the beginning of the book, as we spoke earlier. But speaking about bundt cakes, I want to get your opinion on the best way to grease a bundt pan, because I
I
don't know how many times that has worked and then it hasn't. It's like, well, do you do the butter and the flour? Do you do the spray? Tell me what you do to make a bundt cake come out.
as soon as you said tips and bundt cakes, I knew this was where you were going. So for years, I was a traditional butter and flour girl. So I would take softened butter, I would use a brush, I would brush all those nooks and crannies, and then I would flour, getting flour all over the kitchen sink, the floor, the trash bin. But I insisted that butter and flour was the best. I'm now a spray girl. So I use baker's spray. And I often use a brush just to make sure that if it's a particularly um, what am I thinking of? I was going to say complicated, but if it's a bundt pan that has a lot of nooks and crannies, as so many of them do now,
Mhm.
I may use the brush to make sure that all the spray is there.
That's a
And
great
then,
idea.
and then after I've sprayed the pan, I turn it upside down on a paper towel or on a rack because I don't want the spray to pool in the bottom of the pan.
And that does happen.
And that does happen, and it's kind of yucky. I mean,
Yes.
it's not fatal. It's just, you don't want it. So I spray the pan really well. I look at it to make sure that everything is covered with spray. And then I do it as soon as I know I'm going to be using my bun pan. And then I turn it over and let it rest upside down while I make the batter.
What a great tip, Dorie. I'm trying that on my next bundt cake.
Please, please.
Oh, dear. We are talking with cookbook author Dorie Greenspan about Dorie's Anytime Cakes. All right. How about one more before I let you go?
The first of all, apple cake. It's a bundt cake. It's got apples and some cinnamon. It doesn't have lots of spice, just cinnamon. It's got maple syrup, which I think of as such a fall ingredient.
Yeah.
It's got brown sugar. So you have it's warm without being overly spiced. So you have the apples, the cinnamon, the brown sugar, the vanilla, maple syrup. I use some buttermilk here. And then after it's baked, so there are chunks of apples in the cake that I love the way apples just soften and become more fragrant as they're baked. And you get
Oh,
that in
yeah.
this cake. And then there's a caramel, a very, very easy, because caramel can be so tricky. It's a really easy caramel glaze to go over it. It's very beautiful, and it really says, "Hello, fall, I'm here."
What's your preferred apples?
So I always mix them up. I like to use Fuji's or something that has some sweetness to it.
Mm-hmm.
You could do it with Granny Smith's, but I find them a little dry. And the only apple that I would say you shouldn't use is a Macintosh because it's just too soft.
Oh, interesting. Yes.
Yeah,
And
I
quite tart too, right?
can be, or I think it depends on when in the season you get it. Sometimes Macintosh can be sweet.
Oh,
And so I would save Macintosh for applesauce, and I would use a Fuji or a Gala or a Honeycrisp for this cake.
well, that sounds like another great one to try for the upcoming holiday season as well. We're talking with Dorie Greenspan, Dorie's Anytime Cakes, the brand new book available everywhere. Where can we find you on social media? I'm sure everywhere, but tell me where you prefer that we go.
Well, I think if you type in at Dorie Greenspan, you'll find me. So it's at Dorie Greenspan for Instagram. And I have a Substack newsletter that I love to write. Comes out every week, and it's called XOXO Dorie.
What a great way to kick off the fall season, chatting with you and thinking about cakes. I so much appreciate your time today, Dorie.
Oh, thank you so much. The book is brand new for me, and so to be able to share it with you is such a treat. Thank you.
Thank you again for your time. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you'll subscribe to this podcast as we continue to take you around the world of food and wine on Tonia's Kitchen.